Alright, folks, how's it going? So, I can't believe my luck at the moment. I managed to score a Dragon 64 from the dump. Um, yeah, I have a deal going with my mate. He's uh, picking stuff up from the dump 2 or 3 times a week, and anything that he wants to keep, I'm repairing for him, and in return, I'm basically getting my pick of what he finds. So I've repaired about half a dozen Xbox 360 for him and a couple of other bits and pieces. So yeah, he hasn't had any sort of decent finds now since I got the Amiga from him. I got an Amiga and a Spectrum at the same time. That's probably about a month ago now. Um, yeah, so I haven't had anything from him since. And yesterday he sent me a picture on Facebook, and he'd found a Dragon 64 at the dump. I couldn't believe my eyes when I seen the picture. And yeah, so he dropped it round yesterday evening, and as you can see from the pictures, the thing was absolutely disgusting. It's probably the worst or the dirtiest thing I've ever got to clean up. It took hours upon hours. I don't know how many hours, probably 6 hours or more cleaning this thing. Um, I actually, when I first got it, I wanted to power it up and make sure it worked first. So I stripped it apart and used various brushes on the circuit boards inside, and just basically brushed all the loose dirt and crap and dead insects off the motherboard and the power board. And yeah, got it all cleaned up as sort of best I could without going too crazy on it. Put the thing back together again and powered it on. As you can see here, it worked first go. I couldn't believe it. These dragons are pretty tough machines. You know that there's a good chance it would work, and compared to something else. So yeah, once I knew that it was working, then I knew it was just a cosmetic restoration. Stripped it back apart, and I actually washed the two halves of the case in the sink, and I used like just washing up liquid, fairy liquid, and a toothbrush, a scrubbing brush, and a scarring pad. I use the white scarring pads, the non-scratch ones. They're very good at cleaning stuff, but they're not hard enough or coarse enough to actually do any damage. So I scrubbed and scrubbed at the thing, and it just wasn't making a dent. It was still stinking. So I wound up breaking out the Cillit bag to get this thing clean. Uh, yeah, this is the stuff that we actually use to clean our oven with. Now, it's not proper oven cleaner, it's sort of multi-purpose cleaner. It's recommended for ovens and the likes of a refrigerator, and so it is, it's mild enough to use on plastics. But I did test it on the inside of the case before I went nuts and sprayed it all over it. But when I sprayed this Cillit bang on, you could basically see the dirt running out of the grooves. The plastic on the Dragon's sort of textured. It's not completely smooth. So that was the bits that I couldn't get the dirt out of. But once I sprayed that Cillit bang on, the dirt just basically ran off. And yeah, so using the scrubbing brush and the scarring pad again, I got the thing absolutely gleaming. So I then turned my attention to the keyboard. It was absolutely disgusting. So I pulled all the keycaps off, as you can see. So once I had all the keycaps off, you can see just how disgusting the thing was underneath. So I used my various brushes again and got all this crap off, and then I just cleaned it up with a, a couple of baby wipes, wet wipes. So I was hoping to get this thing apart to clean the contacts on the keys. The keyboard in this is a different design from the Dragon 32. Yeah, but it's soldered together. From what I can make out, there's the black bit's like a metal plate, and it looks like they've dropped the keys through from this side, and then the board is soldered onto the bottom of the keys. So to get this board off, I basically need to desolder all these legs to release that and get the keys out. The keys should then fall out from this side. But it looks like each key is like a sealed unit, if you can see them there. So even if I went to the trouble of desoldering all this, I still don't know if I can open the key, the unit of the key. I don't know if it pops open to actually clean the contacts. When I initially tested it, there was a couple of the keys you needed to, hit quite hard to get it to work. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I may try and spray a bit of contact cleaner down and just down the side of the white bit here. If I give each one a little spray, if I give each one a little spray at the side with a bit of contact cleaner, and then just work it up and down, that may be enough to clean the contacts and get it working. I really don't want to have to take this thing apart. It's going to be hours upon hours of work, and I could wind up damaging something in the process. So I'll figure it out. I'll put it back together again when everything else is dry and ready, and I'll test the keyboard out and see, if there's any are particularly bad. I'll maybe just clean, the bad ones or something. I'm not really happy about spraying contact cleaner down in there, to be honest, but I may have to. It may be the only solution. So once I had the keyboard all cleaned up and stuff, I put everything back together again, and before I put the caps back on the keyboard, I actually powered it on and tested it. I didn't know if I was going to need to spray some contact cleaner down in there or not. So it turned out just actually using the keys, there was a couple of dodgy ones. Number 5 was the worst. There was a couple of dodgy ones, and just repeatedly pressing them has sorted it out, and it now works perfectly. So that was nice. It didn't have to go as far as actually spraying something down into the sides of the keys, which I really didn't want to do. So at this point it was pretty much finished, and I just started putting the thing back together again. I also added some heat sinks to the 3 chips that were getting the warmest. It doesn't seem to generate as much heat, this unit, as my black Dragon 32. I left it running for half an hour, and then went around all the chips, feeling them with the back of my finger, and the 3 chips that I put the heat sinks on there were really the only 3 chips that were heating up at all, and they weren't scarily warm. They wouldn't burn you, but they were hot. And even the big heatsink in the power supply doesn't seem to heat up as much on this as it does in the black 32. So I'm happy enough just to put heat sinks on them and just leave it passive. I'm not going to put a fan or anything inside this. So I didn't really take an awful lot of video footage while I was doing this. Really, I was just too busy doing it. But I did take lots of pictures, as you can see. I have uploaded all these pictures to my Facebook page. So anyone who follows me on Facebook will have seen all these pictures previously. Before I went ahead and washed the case in the sink, I removed the stickers the actual sticker, the Dragon 64 sticker, was in reasonably good condition. It's not mint by any means, but it's pretty good, so I wanted to keep the original sticker. So I done my old trick of heating it up with a hairdryer and slowly peeling it off, and it came off really nice. So I done the same for the sticker on the bottom of the case. Took them both off before I washed it, and then just stuck them back down with Pritt stick paper glue. Just stuck them back down, and yep, they're back on perfect. So I really over the moon with how this turned out. I couldn't believe how clean it came up. I will definitely be using Silk Bang again in the future. The dirt just melted off when I sprayed that on. So I don't think this dragon had been used very much. And what makes me think that is, once I got it all cleaned up and stuff, I plugged a cartridge into the cartridge slot, and the cartridge slot is extremely tight. So I think it was the first thing that's ever been plugged into it. So basically, I broke the cartridge slot's virginity. That's what I think anyway. Compared to the other two dragons that I have, the cartridge slots in quite easily, but on the 64 it's reasonably tight. And the same goes for the joystick ports. Plugging the joysticks into the two joystick ports is quite hard. So I don't think it's ever had a joystick plugged into it either, which makes me think that this dragon hasn't been used very much. I'm just guessing really, but I think it's been used briefly, and then it's wound up lying in a shed or something for 20 years, which is why it's got in such a bad state. So I'm sure plenty of people are going to comment and say that it hasn't yellowed the way most things do. But the thing about the Dragon 64 is it's actually grey and not beige like the standard Dragon 32. So these things don't yellow. There is a couple of little parts here which have sort of went funny. It's almost yellowing. A couple of bits around the very edge along this side as well. But really, these things don't go yellow because it's a grey plastic that was used and not beige. So yeah, that's a nice thing about it. Under all that dirt, this thing was absolutely mint. So that's it, guys. I'm just going to leave you with some before and after comparison pictures here. Please feel free to leave a comment. I always enjoy hearing from you guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.